In the United States, teachers easily spend 5, 10, 15 hours a week doing things like preparing lesson plans, writing report cards, progress reports. If that 15 hours a week can become 2 hours because of AI, while you're supporting your students better, while you're getting better data, it's a very compelling thing for teachers. So I think in places like Taiwan, if teachers can immediately see how it benefits them with it, if they put an hour in to just learn a few tools, that next week they're going to save 5 hours. And then they can take steps to use more and more of these tools. And it's like it's our job, Junyi, Khan Academy, we have to make this as easy to use as possible and as natural to use.
Actually, we are considering integrating the concept of future textbook to better engage classroom directly. Because in Asia, teachers might be less familiar with working closely alongside tutors, but are very comfortable with textbooks. So therefore, our strategy is to integrate physical textbooks, digital platforms, probably through QR codes, and then AI notebooks or tutors. And I mean to turn that into supporting tools for future textbook. Yeah. So my last question. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Will come. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Oh, yeah.
What's your idea? And maybe Taiwan can help? I don't know. Hi, Saul. I'm
Hi,
Ray.
Ray. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm the chairman and CEO of Genie Academy. And Genie actually shares a special connection with you since our earliest version was forked from Khan Academy 2012 edition, actually. And we've since developed independently, growing into a team of 50 and nearly 20 engineers. So as you heard, we are the biggest online learning platform now in Taiwan with 5 million registered. And one thing I want to add is that I even had the opportunity to visit you in 2014. Yeah, you remember the T-Rex?
Yes,
And also in 2015.
Oh, yeah.
But it's been so long, so you probably don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. But our most recent interaction was about a year and a half ago when you participate via video in our education AI forum. So although you weren't physically present, but I guarantee you everyone listened attentively. So today the most important thing is that I'm reaching out to you with a few questions, wearing my triple hat as an educator, a parent, and a Taiwanese edtech social entrepreneur. So my first question is, Khan Academy has inspired learners and educators around the globe. Yet there's still concern regarding the impact of excessive screen time on children. So when using tools like Kamigo or other AI-driven digital learning platform, how do you address concerns about overuse? And how can we ensure that digital tools are being used beneficially rather than being misused?
Yeah, super, super important question. So there's a couple of layers to it. I think in moderation, digital tools, screen time is neutral and it can be used for different things. There are some things that are outright negative, where, students, if they spend too much time on the wrong types of social media, et cetera, it can really get in their heads and not be good for them, affect their mental health. There's other things that, okay, it's okay for people to have, we all like to watch a TV show or see a YouTube video or something every now and then. You could view it as, just relaxation time. And then there's productive uses. Most of us now in our day jobs, if you're a software engineer, you're on a screen most of the day. If you're writing something, if you're editing video, and if you're learning, whether it's, Dream Academy, if it's Khan Academy, that's productive time. And we have efficacy studies there. And so what I tell people, it's all about how you're using it. And even if you're using it well, to do it in moderation. And look, this isn't a new idea. Even a book, when I was growing up, my sister, if you let her wake up in the morning and just read a book, she would do that the whole day and then she'll go to sleep. She'll read for 16 hours straight. And most of us want our kids to read books more, but that was too much. She was getting too much page time and she needed to go outside and she needed to exercise and she needed to see her friends. So similarly, yes, if a student gets addicted to Dream Academy, to to Genie Academy, to Khan Academy, yes, the parent needs to make sure that they do other things, that they spend time with their friends, etc. But if they're doing it in moderation or they're doing other productive things, they're writing a novel, they're programming, they're editing video, that could be okay. And especially as when they're older, to put a few hours is, once again, as long as they're doing other healthy things, it's good. The stuff we need to worry about is the cyberbullying, the social media, et cetera, et cetera. One of my hopes, and I look, even in our own house, we're always trying to figure out how we can do this better. But I'm actually hoping that the old tools for monitoring students are very dumb and very blunt. They can't really
Yes.
monitor. They're just filters on what websites you can go to. I actually think in the next 2, 3 years, we're going to see a whole generation of tools based on generative AI that can make sense of what's going on the screen. And those tools can be in contact with parents and educators. They can even create incentives. Hey, look, if you do 30 minutes of Genie Academy, or you do 30 minutes learning here, or Khan Academy, we'll let you do Minecraft for another 30 minutes, or we'll let you do TikTok for 10 minutes, whatever it might be. So you create those incentives. But then even if you go to a website like a newspaper website, which for the most part is okay, but let's say there's something, maybe the kid is 10 years old and there's an article about war or something that's not appropriate for that kid. It can filter that from the child intelligently because it knows it's a 10-year-old, it's talking to the parents. The parents say, hey, nothing too violent, or it could even potentially change some of the content to take out graphic images. So I'm actually hopeful that it can almost be like a safety monitor too.
Got it. So, with the progress of technology, maybe the point is not just about screen time, but the content, how do we interact with it? And one thing I want to add is that my daughter is just 5 year old. I still give her iPad. The reason is because Khan Academy kids. So good. Yeah. So
Oh, good to hear that.
yeah, the content is what's more important than just the caution on like screen time or paper time. So my second question is about how can parents effectively use Kamigo or like ChatGPT's Tutor Me, also the app from Khan Academy, or other generative AI tools to support their children's learning, and especially probably like me or other parents want to learn from your personal example. How do you personally support your own children? And are there differences in approaches on the approaches or potential risk depending on different stages, like 0 to 6 years old, or elementary school stage, or middle school stage? Yeah, we want to hear from your experience.
Yeah, and there's also differences just based on the personality of the kid. I see that in my house. I have three kids, one 16, one 13, and one 10. And sometimes what I was able to do for the 16-year-old when he was 10 is different than what I'm doing for this 10-year-old. But I think there's a whole bunch of layers to that. First of all, obviously everyone is talking about artificial intelligence all the time. I'm obviously doing it a lot. Wrote a book about it. We're doing Conmigo. But with all of that said, it's actually not about the artificial intelligence. For
Mm,
us at Khan Academy, and I'm sure for y'all as well, people know us for our videos, but the real learning happens when students do practice on our platform and then get that feedback.
yes.
And it's not practice on anything. It has to be practice on stuff that's a little bit challenging, but not too challenging. You could call it your learning edge or your zone of proximal development. And in anything, whether you're learning a sport, you're learning a musical instrument, that's how you learn. You do practice on stuff that's a little bit difficult, you get immediate feedback, and you keep practicing and you keep getting better and better. And so even before artificial intelligence, there's been many efficacy studies on Khan Academy where if kids put in even an hour a week, they're growing more. Even though we're known for the videos, that's not because of the videos. The videos are supporting that. If kids get stuck, they can watch a video, they can get a refresher. It's because of that practice. And so now in this AI world, I don't think the AI by itself is what's going to accelerate student outcomes. AIs are just another support as students are doing that practice on Khan Academy. If they're stuck, they still have a question after watching the video, the AI can be there. So my advice for parents, for parents of very young kids like your own, sit down next to them with them on your lap, do 30 minutes a day of Khan Academy Kids. It'll become a thing that you can bond over. Or yes, if you just need some quiet time at a restaurant, we've all been there where you need to give the device to the child. This is maybe 20 minutes where you don't have to feel too guilty about giving this device to your child. But in moderation. I think as kids get older, my advice would be the same. if you can, and I try to do this with my kids, we do this at our school as well. If kids are able to do Khan Academy at an appropriate level, do the practice with the feedback, even if they're doing 20 minutes a day for say 5 days a week, they're going to see pretty dramatic outcomes over the course. We're seeing some cases of kids doing 2, 3 grade levels a year and really learning it. In terms of kids' personalities, my oldest, he was into it and he was very compliant. If I told him, he would do it.
Hmm.
And now that he's 16, he's moved ahead in math, etc. He finds the AI, and I don't even have to tell him. He's doing more advanced level math, and he's able to use the AI if he has really deep questions about physics or differential equations or things like that. And so that's great. He's able to answer those questions. That's how I use it too, personally. Um, for my for my younger kids, 13 and 10, they're not quite as motivated, so I have to be on top of them a little bit more. My 10-year-old, if we're not careful, will say, he's like, "Can I use the computer?" We're like, "Only if you do Khan Academy or Duolingo." He's like, "Yes, I'm going to do that." We're not careful. We go back in 40 minutes, we see he's on YouTube and he's watching someone, opening a present or something. And we're like, "Hey, what's going?" So we have to be on top of him a bit. We have to create incentives for him. People might have different opinions, but we have had to bribe him sometimes. Every 5% you do on Khan Academy will get you a Pokemon pack. Like we've done that. He's not into
Got it.
Pokemon as much anymore, but doing that regular practice, the same thing. We have to do the same thing with piano practice. My oldest one, he would do that 20, 30, 40. He'll do an hour a day easily, 2 hours a day. My youngest, barely, we have to force him to do it. But anything in life, it's all about regular, deliberate practice. Even if you're able to put in 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, over time, it really starts to pay a lot of dividends.
Got it. So yeah, every child is different, and what's the most important from your example is to bring them to practice with feedback.
Build
Yeah,
that
and
habit. Build that habit.
yeah, that habit. Yeah, and actually, I have one data to share with you that in Genie Academy, actually, for the learning time, 60% is on interactive exercise and 40% is on video. So just like you said, it's more important to do the practice with feedback. And our efficacy report also show that using interactive exercise is more important, but the combination of interactive exercise and video are like even better. Yeah. So yeah, agree on your sharing. And so actually in your book, so this is the English original one. I bought it from the US and the translated one. You discussed the future of AI tutors. We know it's not just about AI, but generative AI truly brings us the opportunity. So currently, how teachers in the US or around the world using Khan Academy and Kamigo, and how's the adoption progressing? Any notable stories or challenges encountered? Yeah, we really want to learn from
Yeah,
your experience.
it's fascinating. When we were building Conmigo, and this is 2.5 years ago, and this was before the world knew about ChatGPT. I write about it in the book. OpenAI had reached out to us. We had access to it. We knew there were so many opportunities, but we knew there were a lot of pitfalls too. This could be used for cheating. It can hallucinate. It could make math errors. How do you do safety, especially for younger kids? And we were working on all that, and then ChatGPT comes out, and then all the school systems start saying we got to ban it, etc. I was like, oh no, the school system's going to just immediately become at odds with AI. But in some ways, it was a blessing because by the time we launched, the reception was more positive. People started to realize, okay, this is going to be a part of kids' life if only someone put the right guardrails and thought about the pedagogy. And so we launched almost exactly 2 years ago. And at the time, I would have thought that, hey, if in 2 years we're even at 100,000, there's tens of millions of folks using Khan Academy every month. But if the AI tutor, people are, even if we're at a few 100,000, that'd be good. Now we have formal partnership in the US with over 1 million students in their districts. So it's hundreds of districts with
Wow.
over a million students. And this is both on the supporting students with their work as a tutor, but also supporting their teachers, helping them with lesson plans, writing progress reports, doing all the things that they need to do. A couple of things that we've learned. One is there's, I would say 15, 20% of students who just immediately get it. They understand how to use the AI, they start running with it, and they get a lot of value with it because they're asking the right questions, they're engaged in the material. The other 80% of students, not so much. Either they're disengaged, not just from the AI, but entirely from their education, or they're not
Mm,
used to asking questions. And when we
yeah.
talk to educators, they say, look, this isn't a conmigo problem. This is something we need to give students more practice. When they raise their hands, they sometimes have trouble asking me a question, asking the teacher a question. But what we're doing in response to that is how do we make the AI more proactive? And how do we make the teacher be able to direct what the students do with the AI more? So we are making things like a teacher can assign an AI activity. A teacher can say, it tells the AI and the student, I want you to talk to each other, the AI and the student, about this and figure out the following. And then the teacher can get a report and hold the student accountable. So that makes sure that the student is engaging, they're engaging in the right way, and then the teacher can understand this. One pattern that we've seen over and over Khan Academy, even before AI, is you can make something really cool, and there's going to be 15-20% of students who are very motivated, maybe like you and me when we were kids. We would have loved all this stuff, and but the other kids need the teacher, and we all needed teacher support, but especially these, someone to hold them accountable, tell them what to do next, and then see where they are. And so we're doing more tools on that side to tie the loop in from the teacher to the student, and then to be able to report that back.
Oh, tie the loop back. Yeah, I like that because it's actually is related to my next question because Trinity Academy strongly aligns with your vision in this book, Brave New Words. And in Taiwan or Asian culture, besides exploring AI tutoring, actually we are considering integrating the concept of future textbook to better engage classroom directly. Because in Asia, teachers might be less familiar with working closely alongside tutors, so AI tutors, but are very comfortable with textbooks. So therefore, our strategy is to integrate physical textbooks, digital platforms, probably through QR codes, and then AI notebooks or tutors, and I mean to turn that into supporting tools for future textbook. So like from this little context, do you have any suggestion like facing different culture, school culture or social culture? How can we integrate technology or AI into our school or even education, broader education system? Yeah,
Yeah.
like what I share future textbook initiative.
Yeah. No, there's well, one, in principle, you're right. Like, platforms like Khan Academy or Junyi Academy, they are better textbooks, I think, because what makes a textbook different than a nonfiction book? A textbook gives you some explanations that it's like a nonfiction book, but then what makes it a textbook is it gives you some practice. But in a textbook, you get no feedback, you run out of practice, you get no support. Usually the teacher gets no data on what you did,
Yeah.
unless they walk around and look at your notebook. So already before AI, Khan Academy, Junyi Academy, we give text explanations. That's just as good as a textbook, but then we also give video explanations. That's better than a textbook that you can pause, you can repeat. And then the practice we give is better than a textbook because you get as much practice as you need. You get immediate feedback. The hints, the solutions are there. And then you layer AI onto it. That's way better because now you can ask any question about a video, about an exercise. You can eventually even have much more dynamic simulations, etc. So in theory, not in theory, in practice, we really don't need, in certain cases, a paper textbook is nice. For certain cases, maybe for younger kids, a workbook to be able to do some handwriting and things like that. But as you get older and older, textbooks really make sense as a reference, not as what you do. And look, we're working on this at Khan Academy. I'm sure y'all are looking at it at Junyi, where if kids are able to show their work on a tablet, the AI can make sense of that. That's not on Khan Academy yet, but it will be in 2 or 3 years. So it's going to be better. But the question is, how do you get people to accept that? One is, we have to show cases. Like we have a lab school. Our school doesn't have textbooks. We're using, they read books, physical books, like, like this, but they don't need textbooks. They have Khan Academy, they have other things. So I think that's one example. If good schools start doing this, I think the other really powerful thing is in ed tech in the past, teachers have so much on their plate. And no matter how good the ed tech tool is, no matter how good the efficacy studies are, you're always going to teachers and saying, hey, here's something new for you to learn. And you have to somehow put it in your classroom and it's more work for them. And a lot of them try, but it's hard. AI is the first time where, yes, it is a new thing to learn, but we can tell the teachers, but it's going to save you time. And that's a very compelling proposition where not only
Yeah.
will it improve student outcomes, but in the United States, teachers easily spend 5, 10, 15 hours a week doing things like preparing lesson plans, preparing their own knowledge, grading papers, writing report cards, progress reports. If that 15 hours a week can become 2 hours because of AI, while you're supporting your students better, while you're making your lesson plans more fun for everyone, while you're getting better data, it's a very compelling thing for teachers. And they don't have to do it all at once. What we're seeing in the US is the adoption of teachers using AI, whether it's Conmigo or ChatGPT or other tools, is faster than I've ever seen them adopt any technology because they're seeing this. So I think in places like Taiwan, if teachers can immediately see how it benefits them with it, if they put an hour in to just learn a few tools, that next week they're going to save 5 hours. And then they can take steps to use more and more of these tools. And it's our job, Junyi, Khan Academy. We have to make this as easy to use as possible and as natural to use.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And I think the interesting part in Taiwan's experience is that it's easier to engage probably the first 10 to 15% of teachers. They are like the early adopters. They intuitively think generative AI can help them. But at the same time, there are still like 80% of teachers, they are still like really into or being used to use traditional textbook. So we later found out if we give them physical paper sheet with QR code on that, it's easier for them. They think they are using physical one, but they later found, oh, their student can easily use QR code to go to Genie Academy and help them to like watch videos, to do interactive exercises. And later they can accept, oh, this can help me. So this is a tricky way that we use the physical book to help them to get into the digital one. Yeah.
Maybe
So
we
my
should
last
do
question.
that.
Oh, really? Oh,
I will
okay.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, if you want more experience, maybe I can share later in the future. It's very interesting. We saw, especially for the middle school, the adoption rate is a lot different than elementary school because the test system in Taiwan or in Asia. So that last one is Khan Academy's vision and mission is to provide a free world-class education to anyone, anywhere. We really admire there. And given your global reach, what types of collaboration have you pursued with countries inspired by you? And could you share any like noteworthy international examples, like I don't know, India or anywhere, of digital learning and education AI implementation? And because we if we aim to genuinely expand to anywhere, including Asia or even Taiwan or broader Chinese speaking community. Do you have any suggestion on accelerating global adoptions? Perhaps, I don't know, open sourcing or uh, whether establishing a for-profit arm like OpenAI or even acquiring international organizations, such what you did with DuckDuckMoose, and then turn into Khan Academy Kids. And then to ensure Brave New Words truly take root everywhere. That's my personal curiosity because the great mission, and I personally want to see it happen. And yeah, what's your idea? And maybe
Yeah.
Taiwan can help. I don't know.
No, the way that and look, we're always open to help. The way that we've tried to scale internationally is there's people in almost every country in the world who are interested in our mission. And we know from California, we can't serve everyone. In fact, we shouldn't serve everyone. So what we've done is we have this program called ConX, where we have groups in other countries, usually funded by some of the top philanthropists in those countries. So in Brazil, we have the Lemon Foundation, which is kind of like the Gates Foundation of Brazil. In
Yeah.
India, we have Tata Trust. And so we have ConX in Philippines as well, in Vietnam. We're launching one in Pakistan. We're probably going to launch one in the Middle East. And so what happens is those groups, they fund it locally and they take over all the localization efforts. And then they do the on the ground work to work with school districts, ministries of education, et cetera, to get adoption. So we just started doing this in the Philippines about a year and a half ago. And
Oh,
they're scaling really, really, really well. And some of the stories that we've seen, and one story that's really jumped out at me, and this isn't from a Connex, this is just from a student internationally. This is actually the second story like this. I was giving a talk at a virtual talk at MIT a month ago, and there was a student in the room who grew up in Afghanistan, a young girl. Taliban obviously does not allow young girls to go to school, so Khan Academy was her school.
wow.
So she just learned on Khan Academy, and then we have another nonprofit called Schoolhouse.world, which is a platform for teaching each other, where you can go on Zoom and tutor other people and you get a reputation. But it also has a mechanism to prove what you know, where you record yourself, etc. Because we have to show, how do you know that you can be a tutor? Well, it turns out at 40 universities now in the United States, including MIT, Caltech, Yale, Brown, University of Chicago, use this, are willing to use this for admission. So she was able to use that without a high school diploma, anything, to get into MIT. And that's why she was in that room. So, when I see stories like that, I just imagine how many other kids there are around the world who just need a little bit of help. And ideally they have access to a school, but in a lot of cases, they might be in Taliban controlled Afghanistan, or they're in some rural village, and we want to be able to, raise the ceiling, raise the floor for them.
Wow, that's very inspiring. Yeah, thank you for your insightful sharing. And Sal, we truly hope that you will have the opportunity to visit Taiwan someday. And we'd love to take you to see like TSMC, actually our most important donors. Yeah. So yeah, anything you want to add at the last part to the audience in Taiwan, parents, teachers, education, social entrepreneurs, anything you want to add?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the work y'all doing is great, and I would love to come to Taiwan in the not too far future. But what I tell everyone, because it's very easy to be worried about a lot of things in the world, including AI, including education, and there are good reasons to be worried. But it's also a very exciting time. There's never been more opportunity when there's periods of change, technological change, social change, political change. It's the time where entrepreneurs can really make an impact. And old institutions will go away, new institutions will come, and whether it's going to be a utopian or dystopian scenario with AI or otherwise, it isn't a flip of a coin. It depends what good people try to do. So if good people try to amplify their good intent using AI, using technology, we have a really good shot. So anyone listening, this is the time to start rolling your sleeves up and start making things and try to get it out there.
Thank you, Saul. Give me 30 seconds. I want to share one thing back to you. You personally inspired me when I was still in medical school in NTU back in 2010. And then I saw your TED Talk, and then I began to try to record YouTube tutoring video, just like you. So that's how I joined Genie Academy. So thanks for your inspiration to me personally and to many people in Taiwan and around the world. Thank you so much.
I'm honored. No, thank you.